for someday? Ready to finally start living your best life right now?
You're in the right place. I'm David.
And I'm Wendy.
And this is the David and Wendy podcast. We're your life coaches here to move you from the excuses to action.
From mastering your mindset to finding real joy, we're keeping it real, raw, and maybe just a little ridiculous.
Let's get into it, Wendy.
Let's go, David.
Welcome back to the David and Wendy podcast.
We're so glad that you're here, and we welcome you back. We also encourage you to go back and listen to the first 3 episodes that we recorded, because today what we're going to be doing, David and I thought that we would shift gears a little, and instead of a specific topic, we thought that we would define some keywords that we've been using, terms, phrases, and many you may have already heard, or most likely you will hear us use. So the words that we're going to be defining today are awareness, awakening, programming, and under programming, we have several things that we're going to define or talk about: thoughts, beliefs, and expectations, limiting beliefs, judgments, single-digit years, and that we're referring to ages up until like 9 years old. Mindset, those are all under programming. Then we're going to define experience, manifesting, and events, or what are happening under manifesting. We're going to revisit reacting and responding, practice, what we mean by practice, process, leap of faith, gut feelings, and energy beings. So we're going to talk about about these words, and you probably have a similar definition to how we're going to define them, but we just want to be clear as to how we're going to be using them and the meaning that they convey for us. So David is going to start us off with awakening and asleep.
Okay, sounds good. Let's get started. Asleep, which is, what you do typically at night, but it's also a reference to people used with some people, I should say, that they're not aware is the implication, right? They're not aware. And that's fine. That, we all are where we are. And awakening is kind of the easing out. It's like getting up in the morning, right? You're coming out of that sleep. You're starting to become aware of the room. A lot of meditations will talk about that. When you're coming out of the meditation, they'll say, now become aware of your room, the area around you, become aware of the feelings that you're sitting on, right? It's what's going on. And that's what we kind of calling the awakening process.
Okay.
And in that awakening process, it's what we're referring to as a sleep is your automatic programming, your default programming. That's gets you through every day, right? Like tying your shoes without thinking about it, putting on your pants. You really want to blow your mind? If you first check and see if you're putting your pants on the same leg every day. If you are, do it the other way around. Blow your mind. Or anything else that you do, you find that you're doing it repetitively one way, do it backwards.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so this is kind of the, it's an opening the door to awareness, right? Awakening is becoming aware. What do you think, Wendy? How does that sound?
That sounds really good, David. It does. As I'm thinking about this, awakening to me is a little bit, it's a gradual process, I'm guessing. And kind of like you said, when
Absolutely.
we wake up from a sleep, it's not like we jump right up and we're ready to go. It's a gradual process. I just have to quickly revisit the asleep part. I've often referred to, sometimes I feel like I'm just in a sleep mode where I have my blinders on, right? I'm not even aware of anything around. I'm just going, and like you said, it's that default, that unconscious act of just moving forward, not being awakened to what's going on around me and what's really happening. So,
Right.
yeah.
It's like when you're going on an errand that is basically in the same direction to something else that you do all the time, say go grocery store. And so you're going off on this errand and your mind starts thinking about the errand or thinking about something else, gets distracted. Next thing you know, you're pulling up in the parking lot of the grocery store. You're like, wait, no, that's not where I'm going. I'm going somewhere else. That's quote unquote asleep.
Yeah, makes total sense.
And so what backs up asleep, what the driving what we call programming, is designed from or created from everything you've experienced since you were, maybe even in utero, very young, poured into your unconscious without any filtering. The mind works, 7, 8, 9, those early years, up to 7 and 8, 9. The mind is actually running in a different brainwave frequency, which is in a hypnotic, it corresponds with the brainwaves that adults move into when they're in a hypnotic state. But kids are in that all the time. So stuff just pours in. There's no filtering. There's no understanding. There's no reference. It just pours in. And then they try to make sense of it without any reference. And there's where all the misperceptions and misunderstandings build up, and you create the automatic reactions to the things to the things you need to react to, or feel you need to react to. Those are all programmed because you'll try some, and the ones that work will be reinforced, and then continue to use. And if you don't change those, you'll have those same reactions into adulthood. So yeah, go ahead, hit me with what you have, Wendy.
Yeah, so programming to me, it just makes me think of it's everything that we've ever experienced, like, in a nutshell, basically from, like you said, in utero to 9 years old, and all that stuff that's coming into us. A lot of it most of it we don't have control of, and that's it's forming our programming that later on in life really is what we use, and we don't even realize it. I didn't understand what programming was until I was my early 50s. So yeah, this is really important to think about, especially people. I'm now a new grandmother, and I think about that baby, all of the programming that she's receiving. I didn't think about this when my kids were little. I mean, I may have, but I was so when, it's just like, wow,
right?
All that information that they're getting. Yeah, all the experiences.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of left out the part about as all that comes in, it gets set down into the unconscious, and the unconscious is where you do your automatic stuff from.
Right.
Without understanding it. I'm sure we've all had experiences like, oh, why did I do that? Why did I say that? Well, somewhere in there you have a program. Go ahead.
Right. And it makes me think of like, oh, geez, I find myself doing the same thing mom used to do, or, oh, gosh, the same thing dad used to say. Because it was that automatic programming. We just heard it over and over, saw the behaviors over and over. And we don't think anything of it until one day we catch ourselves being like, oh, geez, I sound just like mom now. So, yeah.
Yeah, we pick stuff up automatically. We don't even know why we do it. We just do it because somebody else did it. I heard this kind of joke / analogy. Don't know if it's true or not, but, there's two women are in the kitchen cooking meatloaf, and she, the one woman cuts it in half and sticks it in the oven, and then cooks it, and they're like, the other woman says, well, why are you cutting that in half? She goes, I don't know. My mom always did. And they're like, let's go find out. So they went and talked to the mom, which happened to be in the other room, conveniently. And it's like, Mom, why did you cut your meatloaf in half? I said, because my oven was so small, I could only fit half of it in at a time.
Oh,
But the daughter just picked it up automatically because it was a habit that was just passed down because it was done repetitively, and the daughter at a young age saw it done repetitively and reinforced and over again, and that's how programming happens.
yes. Beautiful.
Right?
That was a great illustration.
Thank you. So let's try experience. I like to use the word experience a lot. And what I mean by experience, it's just simply what you're going through. In other words, you wake up in the morning, you do your morning routine, then you do your day routine, then you do your afternoon and evening routine, and you go to bed. Just everything that happened in that day is an experience, with the caveat, there's no judgment on it. It's just simply what you transitioned through in your day. That's all it is.
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. That's how I understand experience. I think what I thought of immediately was, well, what happens if I do have a judgment around that experience? What does that do? That feels like that would probably create an even different experience, if you will.
Right.
Yeah, but it's just the experiences are what is happening to you, with you throughout your day. So, and the idea is to not have judgment around what's happening. But yeah,
Right. It's just what's happening, and
yep.
Based on the programming, your experience is how you see your program, how you see your experience, how you refer to your experience, how you interpret your experiences, all comes through the filtering that's built into your programming, which is all automatic.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try manifesting. I remember when I first was, many years ago, we won't get into that number, talking about manifesting or hearing about manifesting. I'm like, oh, that's a thing. Okay. So I kind of saw it as you just go along through your day, and then you want to create something, and you're like, oh, I'm going to manifest this, right? And so you turn the switch on, the manifesting switch on, and you manifest it, and you're like, okay, got it, and you turn it back off again. Well, the reality is, and if you think of it, it makes sense. Your manifesting happens all the time, right? 24/7, 365. You can't even have an experience without manifesting, right? Taking a breath is an experience. So you can't, without having, the experience has to be manifested. It's created. It happens. Whether it's automatic or intentional or whatever. And so every moment is just unfolding creation in front of you. And it's an automatic product of your programming, which is, as we said, the result of your past and current reinforcing, reconfirming experience. And until you decide to, create something or manifest something intentionally. How does that sound, Wendy?
That sounds great, David. I was just, I realize now, and this is part of my awakening and my awareness of what's going on. I used to think of manifesting as just like this big event, right? But now I realize, since I've, a lot of the self-discovery and my work in all the research I've done and reading, we are manifesting every moment. Everything that we do is manifesting. And we kind of touched on that with our last three episodes. Really that's kind of what we were alluding to, is manifesting, that it's, every second, like you said, every breath is being manifested. But yeah, I think, like I said, I think that one might shock some people because they think of it as, when you hear manifesting, you think, I'm going to manifest this event, or I'm going to manifest my next spouse, or this is really what
Right.
I want. But it's happening even unconsciously, right? Isn't it?
Yes. Every moment that flips out in front
Yeah.
of you is manifested by you,
Hmm.
by your programming. So the thing is some people get a little uncomfortable with that, can get a little uncomfortable with that, and that puts all the responsibility on them.
Hmm.
If they don't like what they're experiencing, they can change it. They have full power to change it, right? We all have full power to change our experience, no matter how bleak it looks, right? There's all these rags to riches stories because people decided they wanted to change their experience. It just happens.
Yes.
So another one we did touch on that I wanted to kind of refine a little bit is reacting versus responding. Now, reacting is a process of, if you will, reacting, right? Reenacting your programming to an experience. So you've regardless of how graceful or grotesque your reaction is to an experience, it's pre-programmed because it's been successful up until now. At least you've refined it, and you've worked again. No matter how childish or whatever,
Right.
if it works, if it gets you through the situation, then you keep repeating it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, responding is being in an experience and then taking a moment with intention, right? And as opposed to reacting, which is typically instant, you the practice is to catch yourself and take a deep breath, right? They say count to 3 or whatever it is. So you take that moment, and with the best option you can muster at the time, still doesn't have to be perfect, but there's a good chance it'll be better, and different, obviously. And then you can interact with this experience in a new way. And this is where you learn to change how to deal with an experience. Even if it's just a little bit different each time, you're working towards more success and grace.
Yeah, David, I'm going to give an example to to our listeners about this. I grew up the programming around snakes. Many people have a fear around it, but my grandmother, my mother, all would scream when they saw a snake. So that was the programming I heard.
Right.
And I found with my first child, I did the same thing.
Sure.
And then when I had my second one, I thought, wait a minute. Because then I noticed my daughter was I must have started to become aware of myself. And yeah, I was like, you know what? My second child, I'm not going to do that. It might startle me. So I might take, but then it's like, okay, respond. Just take a deep breath and be like, oh, a snake,
Right. Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Yeah. Or something that everybody experiences is traffic, right? Like I used to get so angry when people would cut in front of me, and I'd be like, what the, where now it's just like, oh, they must be in a real big hurry. And I'm grateful that I'm safe. They didn't hit me,
Right.
So it's just a difference in, the awareness around it. I think the first thing, and you already touched on this, is recognizing it first. That's what I had to do. I recognize that I don't want to respond. I don't want to react to the situation anymore, because first of all, it makes me feel yucky. Secondly, the experience becomes better, I guess, if I respond. So there's a little pause there with responding versus the reaction.
Yeah. We've all been in situations where we get into a reactionary state and we say something or do something that later we wish we hadn't done. Right. So we see that and go, okay, next time I'm going to respond instead of react out, the process that I've created up until now. So that brings us to a good a good word that I use a lot as well, which is practice. The practice. So as manifestation is 724, 365, so is your practice. So think about it like this. You do it every day, all day, with your default reactionary self-talk and your which is both internal and external. And that's reconfirming, right? Because it's like, see, that always or never happens to or for me. We're reconfirming the program, the old program. We're finding evidence for it. We're saying, yep, that's really true, even if it's not. I've heard people say this always happens to me, and then I'll ask them, oh, well, how often does this happen to me? Well, this is actually the first time. Oh, okay. So the real practice is actually to first become aware that this is actually going on, right? You can't, as the saying goes, you can't fix problem until you know it's a problem. And then just simply, again, here's the word again, practice to listen, practice to just pay attention to what you're saying or what you're thinking in reaction to an experience. And then as you start to catch those, you can challenge them with things like, well, okay, yeah, and what if that was different, right?
Right.
It doesn't mean it's going to be, but what if it was different? What would it be like? What would it be like if it came out in a better way? And that actually rolls us back up to the definition of responding. So it's just, paying attention and then making little changes.
Right.
How do you see that?
Yeah. Everything's a practice, right? I feel like.
Absolutely. You're either programming or and reinforcing your programming, or you're changing your programming.
Yes. And so you and I often talk. I know this is part of my growing that I've gone through is just the practice, because sometimes the old programming will kick up. And now I'm so much quicker at catching it and being aware of what I'm doing that I can stop and pivot. So,
right.
Practice is you're going to hear us referring to that a lot.
Yeah, and it's never too late to recognize it. If you get all the way through the automatic reaction and you get all the way through to the end, that's still good if you catch it and go, oh wait, but what if it was different? Even the next day, oh, that reaction, I had that weird reaction the other day, that automatic reaction the other day.
Right.
What if it was different? Right? The practice is just that. It's just a practice. And you'll get better. You get better and better, right? Right? You catch yourself sooner and sooner, and you become aware of it easier and easier. And that's what brings us nice segue right into the next word, which is process. I use that word a lot. The process is recognizing the awareness, right, and being motivated by the possibilities therein. So when you catch an old program that's not working, an old reaction that's not working, and you choose to build in a response, you may see a different reaction. Sorry, you may see a different experience. And you'll go, oh, well, that worked out better than it used to. Okay, good. So the awareness of that and the motivation from that is the process, because it's the engine that kind of keeps you, oh, I got to catch this again next time. Oh, and I can refine it a little bit more, right? Yeah. And this is the awakening into awareness, also referred to as walking the path, right? and now we just have an intentional direction. Now we're picking a direction and choosing to go in. What do you think, Wendy?
I think you summed that one up nicely. It's that, I love it's a path. You're walking the path. That's your process, of where it is you're getting, or that awakening into awareness. Yeah, I can't say too much more on the process. I think that's, you did a good job of that one. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah. So this also brings us to a kind of a really key component or puzzle piece of this process, and that leap of faith, right? There's taking a leap of faith, as they say, in lots of different religions, faiths, spiritual practices, and life philosophies. They all talk about taking a leap of faith, right? It's even in the story of King Arthur, right, when he's looking for the what's that called, the chalice, the Holy Grail. There he is.
Oh, yeah.
When King Arthur's looking for the Holy Grail, right, one of the last things of all the steps he has to go through is crossing what appears to be an infinitely deep canyon between him and the entrance to the cave. And it says, take a leap of faith, right? Step and reach out and the step will be there, something like that. And so he just takes a leap of faith. He just steps out what it looks like to be midair, as the story goes. And as he puts his foot down, there's a step there to meet him. And then he's able to actually, because of that faith, that he is going to be okay and be able to make it through this, even though it looks like, based on all his past experiences, this is a canyon. You can't walk across a canyon. He takes a leap of faith. Every step is met with a stepping stone, and he crosses the canyon. So, it's just like, it's the basic understanding that all is taken care of, right? There's no need to struggle. There's no need to worry. And because all of this leads to suffering. And in the Buddhist faith, not faith, it's more of a life philosophy, but in Buddhism, they talk about suffering and letting go of suffering. And one of my favorite ways of summing this up, which kind of spans all those different ideologies, is let go, let God. The energy you create and generate with your mindset and feelings is what creates your experience. So don't just choose to be happy. Create and generate happiness and joy within, and the happiness and joy will be your experience. And this is your leap of faith, because you can look at your current situation, and it may not all invoke joy and happiness from you.
Right.
It may not create it for you on the outside. So create it on the inside. When you create the joy and happiness on the inside, your experience will start to change.
Yeah. That's great, David. One word for me sums up leap of faith, and that's trust. And it goes with that let go and let God. It's knowing that everything is going to be okay. Everything is going to work out. Like you said, despite the experience you're having, it's but taking a leap of faith is that trust that it is all going to work out.
Right, and that's a good illustration. All of this is talking about the power of words and how much they affect us, even when we don't realize it. Right, everything has a meaning, and that meaning causes a reaction or response in us, whether it's automatic or by intention. So here's an interesting thing. You said both the words trust and knowing. Trust, to me, has a little bit of implying you got to trust it, but it might not happen. Knowing, to me, that's just my definition. That's just the way where I come from. Knowing is undeniable, right? You just know it. It's just going to be, simply going to be. And that's the difference for truth and knowing for me.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks, David, because there's just the slightest difference there. So I appreciate you clarifying that, and so our listeners will be able to definitely have a clear picture of um, what that leap of faith means. Yes. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I think I said truth. I meant trust, obviously, but yeah, I mean that's how subtle the difference can be.
Mhm.
And then speaking of subtle, right? Gut feelings. Um, this is just another way, to recognize your intuition. The trick is if you can discern the difference between what is coming from your gut and the feelings that you create in it by your thoughts. If you can tell the difference, then you have a great tool in decision making, right? The gut feeling is going to be a calm, quiet, confident, straightforward feeling, where the other, right, that you're creating with your worry is going to be loud, frantic, and pushy, queasy, all that stuff that might feel like it's coming from the gut. If it's worrisome, fearsome, it's probably not intuition. Intuition, no matter how you receive intuition, it's always very, very calm, very straightforward, very quiet, non-pushy. So it's kind of, when you can pay attention to those. Sometimes you can't hear that because the mind is going on and screaming about something else, and so you learn to slow down and pay attention to the quietness.
Right. Yeah, I think the intuition and gut is very subtle. Where the mind, that tends to be, like you said, a lot louder, and oftentimes creates some story in your head that accentuates the experience that you're in.
Right.
Yeah.
And so here's a term you've probably heard come and go. I don't use it a lot personally, but I do have an understanding of it. I have my own personal understanding of it based on my programming and research and all that I've done. But it's really, really look no further than quantum physics for this answer, because that's basically the definition of quantum physics, is that everything is energy, right? Do your own research in this area, but don't worry about understanding it all. It's not a big, you don't have to understand the whole entire package of it. The basics are that everything that exists, from the smallest electron or smaller even particles that make up the atoms and everything, it's all created from energy. It's all electromagnetic waves, and this is all scientific. Again, go check it out. It's just a differentness. It's just a difference of densities that all exist in the same field, right? There's just an energetic field, and Rumi talks about this, right? About the field. I'll meet you out in the field.
Right.
A simple analogy that I love. It talks about the wave on the ocean. Right? We make a distinction. Think about this. We make a distinction between a wave and the ocean, implying that they're separate. Just as we may feel separate from each other. But here's the thing, right? The wave is born, grows, and lives indivisibly connected to the ocean. It is one and the same. And then it assumes a new way of being once the wave settles back in. It assumes a new way of being, but there is no returning to the ocean. The wave doesn't not return to the ocean because it never left.
Wow, great.
That's how we are with the energy field. We're not separate. We're not apart from it. We're just a distinction of it.
Yeah, and I understand. Somebody who might just be delving into this for the first time or listening to our talks. This it's a much deeper level of thinking and understanding that comes with time. And if you don't quite understand it, that's okay. It's okay. It'll slowly evolve for you. But yeah, just knowing that, I guess we are all energy beings. Everything around us is energy. There's nothing that is not energy. Yeah. So
Right.
thank you for that illustration of the wave. That reminds me of a story too, that you can't see the forest beyond the trees.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's all one. It's all part of the same, right?
Right.
There's different ways to say it. And this brings us to our topic for next week: how a life coach can benefit and help you. See you next week.
See you then. All right. That's the show for this week. We hope you are feeling motivated, like you're ready to take on the world.
If you got value today, do us a huge favor. Like and subscribe and leave us a review. It helps us reach more people just like you.
You can find all our info in the show notes and connect with us at our website, thedavidandwendypodcast.com.
We'll see you next week. And remember, always be kind, loving, and compassionate to everyone you meet.